Okay, all right. So we'll study three system calls, which is fork, exit, and wait. All right, and the contents are basically contents of the class I have taken from the same sources. This book is quite nice, so you can read something from this book as well. Also, I mean, you can find this in many places, right? This kind of stuff. These are, I mean, just Google on system calls for Linux, you'll get plenty of information. So, all right. So we have studied so far, that say this part we have studied in the last course, computer architecture. Okay, and we are studying mainly this part, OS, primarily OS kernel, and what are the basic mechanisms of OS kernel, how does it operate. We are focusing more on concepts. Okay, and once we complete this course, you should be able to say that how actually computer works, right? So these are the two important things, that architecture, on top of that OS, that gives all the abstraction, all the laptops, etc. you have, you can explain everything that goes on in there, right? And of course on top is various kind of libraries, and these give further some abstraction to users, right? User programs. And then of course because of this abstraction that we have, first is abstraction of hardware, then abstraction given by OS, and then by libraries, you can write millions of programs of different kind, and without worrying too much about portability. Okay, of course portability becomes important sometime or other, because some special features that you may want to use are not supported by hardware and so on, but that's very rare. Okay, if you make sure that library that you are using, like POSIX library or libc library, these are ported onto different OSs, and this OS is running on different hardware, more or less it will work. All right. Okay, so this diagram we have seen. Okay, and then we discuss in brief about tree of processes. Okay, and one thing I want to clarify is that, of course, process creation happens starting from parent, which is init process in Unix, or systemd in Linux. Okay, and then they start forking processes, and that goes on. One diagram I want to say is that what happens if parent dies, actually children don't die also. Okay, children become orphan. Okay, so and then they become, when children become orphan, then somebody has to adopt to them, so they become the process that adopts to them is init process. So their PPID or parent ID becomes init ID, which is 1. Okay, so this diagram shows that, this is a timeline, and then here we create a child by fork that we'll study now, and then here the parent exits. Okay, then the child becomes gets attached to init process. All right, so there's a timeline. Okay, one more data structure I want to say is, sometimes we hear, actually in one of the slides we'll hear there's something called process table. Okay, see, this process table is same as what we have studied is, basically we have seen that PCBs are connected with each other, and these are connected, say WLink list that we have studied, right? Other data structure that is used is that we have an explicit process table, and whenever process is created, then it will have entry in that process, which is PID, process ID, and then there will be a pointer to its process control block. Okay, this is another data structure, but again, we need some more data structures to find out which of the processes needs to run, right? So there are various ways of looking at processes, managing it, organizing it, right? Organizing something about it. Okay, so different books you read, you will get different ideas, but you will have to finally, when you're designing OS or when you're looking at design OS, you'll find some of these ideas are there. Okay, all right. Any question? So we have following system calls that we'll study in brief, very brief, and I will leave it to you to do programming. So first is a fork, which creates new child processes. So all the processes in Linux and Unix and other OSs are created by forking from the parent process. When you start computer, then the first process starts, right? Okay, and then init, for example, in Unix is ancestor of all processes. So from that, we create processes using, from init, we create process using fork. It means the exact replica of the process created. And then the replica is doing the same thing as the main process, but then it's of no use. Then we change the character or, or the details of that by adopting some other code. Okay, and then that we do code, using exec system call. And of course, the wait is parent has to wait until child completes this process and exits. Okay, this is required for some sequencing and so on, and getting data from child and so on. So there are various things that happens. We'll look at some of these. And exit is when process terminates by calling exit call. Okay, so we'll look, let's go into the first call, which is fork. Okay, so when we do fork, the exact copy of the current process is created. Now both processes continue to run in parallel from the statement that follows fork call. So there is a process, okay, this code that has run, and then there's a fork call. So let's assume this process, say P1, a fork call happens, then and this is the remaining code. At this point in time, another copy of process is created. It means that exactly same, exactly same, what do you call that, address space is created. Okay, however, address space is different. So all register values, variable values, etc., whatever is there is P1 is copied into P2 memory image. Okay, and then this P2 does not start execution from first instruction because it also copies the state of the process. So it starts from the next instruction onwards. Whatever is the next instruction, so P2 will start because of fork process, P2 started, will start from here and so on. Okay, now how do we know which one is P1 and which one is P2? So when we do this fork call, then there is a return value. Okay, and for parent, this process, the return value after you execute this will be child ID or child's PID, process ID. And for this one, because this process will also get a return value. For this, the return value from fork execution is 0. So now we check the PID. Okay, so when we check the return value, then we can make out whether it's a P1 or P2. Okay, all right. And if the fork method fails because of some reason, then return value is -1. Okay, all right. Okay, just hold on to your questions. I'm sure there will be. Let's discuss it further and then you ask questions. Okay, all right. So new process is created by making copy of parent's memory image. What is a memory image? Memory image is something that we have seen like this address space that, you know, we have a heap, global or static. Then we have stack and so on. This is a memory image. Exactly replica of that is created. All right. And then they are added to process list, like something that we discussed just because new process is there, we will have to have some kind of table or data structure, we'll have to add it there. Okay, a new process has been created. So when the new process is created, the OS will create also PID for that process ID. Okay. Okay, now the child starts execution just after the fork instruction that we have discussed here, that from this point onwards, fork new process starts execution. Okay, and parent and child execute and modify memory data independently, because each will have now its own stack and they will make changes independently. All right. So this is okay. 4 copies variables and registers from parent to the child. So whatever is values of different variables in first process or parent process, when OS creates child process, then it just copies those values into a stack. That's different values of variables, registers, etc., etc. Okay, basically variable register will go into corresponding PCB, etc. All right. Okay. Any question now?
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
where all do we use fork? Like, what is the use if we are just making the copy of the entire same process?
Excellent question. Had it been thread, we didn't have any choice, right? So that's the reason the second process, exactly same thing you are doing is meaningless, right? Then you will have to change executable into that. Okay, you have to change the, once you have created it, then you reload, you start then basically different executable is to be there, right? And then you load into that memory image a code corresponding to something that we want to create. All right, so we'll come to that in the next class, but the idea is that there is this. See, for example, here you can see that each process is different. This process has created a process here which is different. So first it will create a copy of this and load into that all this that is supposed to be here. It means that it will initially everything will be duplicate, but now OS will load something that is required, and for that we use a system called exec. Now in exec there will be some pointer to code, executable code, and there is some other parameters that we will study in the next class. Okay, is that are you fine now?
Yes, sir. And also,
Mm-hmm.
let's say that could you, yeah. So here, let's say that the bash process gets like it gets terminated. So will both of its children become the children of system D?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Now OS will do something or other later that we will not discuss, right? But that's the process. There's another scenario you can think of. What happens if child finishes early? See, there has to be some synchronization. The child finishes, then it becomes zombie, and parent is not aware of that the child has finished. Okay, so there's another thing, zombie. It's called zombie child, which so it's basically OS will clean up all memory image but retain PCB, etc. And then that can be used. So, but existence of PCB in system, we call it zombie process. Okay, so we'll again discuss some of these at the end. Handle this. Okay, all right. Okay, so we are back here. So this is first process. A process is in execution. Okay, this is a parent process. Code is running, and then we have fork system call in between. Okay, after execution of some instructions. Okay, now let's assume that ID is 1 here. This init process ID is 1. Okay, and then fork will return value 3042. It means that it has created a process whose ID is PID, or process ID is 3042. Okay, so process ID is 3042. So this process is created. Now this process will start execution from the instruction which is next to the fork instruction. Okay, now the fork has returned in this one value 0. Okay, when fork is executed, it will return child's process ID in parent process, while it will return 0 in child process. Okay, and then here it will set PPID. Whatever data structures we have, it will set PPID as equal to 1, because now this is the parent. All right. Okay. So if you look at the process table or details of PCB, you will find some of these fields like PPID, or what are the child process IDs, and so on. Okay, anything, any doubt? So what we say is that both processes are created, both are doing exactly same thing. Note, we are still assuming that there is only one CPU or one processor within single core processor. Okay, so the process is created, not necessarily both are running. If there are maybe 2 cores, then they may run if scheduler wants to schedule it, but right now we are assuming only one of them is running. A second is created. It means that all data structures around are created. It has its own memory image. It will have also a PCB and the values of registers, etc. Stored in a process control block, and various variables are also copied into the stack of memory image of the child process. So that has happened till now. Okay. So fork is one of those system calls which is called once but returns twice. We have seen there are 2 values of return values. Okay, so this is a parent process. It forks and creates another process which has different PID. Say PID of the parent process is 28, and then we can say PID of a parent child process is 34. If we forks another another child process, then its PID would be something else, maybe 50. Okay, but note that code, etc. See, the executable code will be exactly the same. Okay, and wherever this second fork is done, it will start execution. This child, say C2, will start execution from next instruction onwards, although it will have a return value. Okay, all right. When we fork, what is a process? Process is nothing but code in execution. Okay, so it has executed certain number of instructions, and there's something called fork comes. Okay, fork instruction. Whenever the fork instruction comes, this is a system call. Okay, OS comes into picture and creates another process. Say this, if this is a process P1, another process P2 is created. Okay, it means that all data structures that we have seen for a process are created, and this one execution and all register values, etc., are copied into whatever data structures, and then it starts execution from here. From, if both are running simultaneously or parallelly into two codes, there is no difference between P1 and P2 excepting for process IDs and few other minor changes. But if they are running onto same processor, then there will be time lag or between two processes. Maybe second process runs after the first process, or if second process is scheduled earlier, it will run fast ahead of first process. That's it. That's the only difference. Okay. All right. Now, when we say that we are forking, then a parent is forking a process that basically is creating a offspring which is exactly duplicate of parent, excepting for ID difference in ID and the return value it got because of fork instruction. So child gets different return value than parent. Parent gets return value as child ID, child process ID, and child gets 0 as a return value. Okay, all right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, there's a difference. So there's the reason it says that it's a fork is one system call which returns twice. Normally, when we call it function, any function, there is a return value. Now here this has two return values when it's executed. One for the process which has initially run that. Okay, that is a say let's say we call it P1, and then second value also it returns, which is for child process. Child 1, right? So this is the PID of the return values, PID of child, and wherein the children gets the return value or the child gets the return value as 0. That's it. That's the only difference. Okay. Just just absorb it. Right now you assume that two return values have come. Okay, one has, because when we say return value, what does it mean? There must be some variable it is kept. Okay, now both processes have exactly same data structures, and then there in the child's data structure, okay, in a stack, for example, let's take stack, the values returned is a variable. The return value is kept in some variable, and stack, that value that's stored corresponding to that variable is 0, while in case of first process or parent process, the value that will be stored would be child's ID, child's PID. Okay, that's it. Let's just visualize it, you will get it. Okay, now let's run this code. Okay, what are we doing here? Okay, so we are this is command line inputs that you can get. I'm sure you would have studied this. Argc is number of arguments, and star argv is nothing but array of strings. Okay, in terminal you can type whatever input you want to do. Maybe 3 strings you want to type, it will take 3, but argc will be 4. Okay, one added one is of course name of the program, which is main. I'm sure you would have done this programming. If not, then please don't worry about now and read book once we complete this. So first statement it prints is hello world PID, process ID. It will print this PID, and then we use another system call get PID. Get PID will get PID or process ID of this main process, the first process. Okay, so it will print hello world, and then it will get the process ID, whatever OS has created the process ID of this main program, it will print that. That's it, simple. And then second instruction is that we are forking it. Now from this parent process or main process, we are forking the first process. We are forking another process which is exact duplicate of that, and it will return some value, which will store in RC. Okay. Now RC, note that value of RC in both. Now here the child is already created, right? So the value of RC that will go to the the fork, the return value of the fork, which is stored in RC, will be different from parent and child. Okay, because both of them have their own memory image. So when we executed fork here, so I'm sorry, fork here first here, then this is a memory image of first. Then so the RC here in memory will be a PID of child, where another image is created for child. Then in stack the memory value corresponding to RC would be 0 for child. That's it. Okay, if it is less than 0, then of course it means that the process failed. We couldn't create, the parent couldn't create child. Okay, so let's not get into this. Okay, there can be some conditions which may cause child not to be created. All right, so now let's see what happens. Now let's come here. Else if, okay, it means that this has not happened. Okay, RC is equal to 0. RC is equal to 0, he is here for child process. Okay, then printf, hello, I am the child process, and with PID is equal to PID. PID is equal to okay, all right. We get the PID of that process. Okay, all right. Else it means that now if this process is running in processor, if this process, let's assume, because we are assuming that there's a one processor right now. If this process is running, then then RC will be 0, and then it will print I am the child process with PID is equal to, it will get the PID using this system call, it will get the PID and print that. Okay, in case of second process, because both are running and both are running the same code, okay, while parent process, when parent process running the code, this code, because after fork they will start running this code, both will run this code. So when parent is running, parent process running, then it will have RC value is equal to child's value, child's PID. Okay, then it means that it is non-zero and it's not negative. Then of course it's a parent process. Then it will say print hello, I am the parent of. Now here parent of what? Child that is created. How do you get child's value of child value of child's ID? Okay, so it will print hello, I am parent of, then we'll say PID is equal to this, and then there will be two values here, which is RC and get PID. What is value of RC here? RC which parent gets is child PID, PID of child. Okay, and then it prints get PID, it gets its own PID. It means that in bracket it prints its own PID and says I am parent of this. So if we run this, okay, then it will be it will say hello world PID. So it means that this okay, I will clean it up. So it will this instruction is executed, and after this we are forking. Okay, after this we are forking. So obviously child process created because no error condition, and when child process, it means that there are now two codes in execution corresponding to parent and child, and exactly same. So child process, when child process is running and is scheduled, then it will print I am the child process. and print all this, right? And if this one is running, then this condition is not set, right? Because RC value is child's ID, and so this will print. So it now here you can see which process has, out of two process, child has created one process. Okay, this parent process number is 22305. It has created one process. This number is 22306. Okay. Okay, so now you can tell me which process has run fast earlier, which was scheduled earlier after forking.
Parent process.
Parent processes, right? So and then child, but there is a possibility the child process schedules child process first, then parent process, then we'll get different result, right? That it will be just this will come here, and second statement will come lower. Okay, all right. So it's something like this. It can print this way. So scheduler, if you create 100 such processes, if you fork 100 times, you have a loop, and then you create 100 times you fork in the loop. So 100 processes are created. Now a scheduler, it doesn't mean that it will schedule the way first process and second process and third process, third child process, and so on. Nothing like that. I mean, the scheduler is its own ways of scheduling and can pick up one of these based on a scheduling algorithm and schedule it. So if you create a child process and say print, first, for example, first process you say print 1, then second process say print 2, and third child process 3, and they start printing, you will not get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as an output. Okay, you will get numbers very much in kind of which are not sequential. Okay, so any question on this one? Then we can actually run this code and see. Any question? Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Anybody who has doubt? Okay, so let's run this. It's very simple. I will send you the file. You can run it. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Okay. Okay, so I have moved into Visual Studio. You can see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so yeah, so this is Visual Studio Code which I've inputted here. Okay, okay, just a minute. Let me run terminal. Just a minute. How to use? Okay, I will run terminal. New terminal. So basically, it's running terminal here. Just let me expand it again. So it's running terminal, which is same as bash, etc. Right? Of course, because it's a Mac laptop, which uses which has very similar terminal as in Linux, right? Because essentially it follows all commands on Linux. So let's just clear it. Very small font. Now let's compile it, huh? So it is there in one directory called CP. You can see it from here. Okay, so let me say what's the command? GCC. Name of the program is I have kept is p1.c. Then put it into file say p1. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. There's no file, such file. Okay, I'm sorry. So let me just change directory. CD is in which directory here? CP. Okay, so we are into CP directory. Okay, there is already a file which is output file called P1. So we can create some other file, or we can rewrite over this. So let's see GCC -o. I'm sorry. P1 dot C minus O and say P, you can say any number. So maybe let's assume that we can write it over this one, same. Okay, so it has compiled and there is no error because I whatever error were there, I cleaned it up. There's some typing error I had. Okay, now here, okay, let me just expand it a little bit. Okay, all right. Now let's run this. So P1, so dot P1. So it has now, it says that hello world. It means that now process ID, parent process ID 70403. I am parent of 7070405. It means that some other process is created in between, which is okay, all right. And then PID, the PID of the parent process. And then child prints that hello, I am child process with PID is whatever. Its own PID. Okay, let's run it again. Let's see if we get different answer. What it says now, PID values have changed, right? So I am hello world PID 70423. And the next one is I am parent of such. So basically just few processes are running here. So it has not, if you fork this 100 times, then you will see, you know, they will run in different order. Maybe again, if you run, then maybe you know exactly similar PIDs are changed. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So you can see it's running. All right. So let's go back. Up. Okay. Let's share, new share. Go back to my iPad. Okay. So please run it. I will send you this P1, or it's available online in the 3 pieces book. Okay. So what we learn here, child process is not exact copy, it's not 100% exact copy, but everything is same excepting that is the own address space. So basically 2 memory images are created for parent and child. Okay, parent exact, so which is similar to this one, but register values have all been copied from you know, processor, whatever register values are there, it has been copied here and in child process. And but now all these values are owned by this. Now this process may execute and change its own values here, variable values, register values, etc. But that will not impact here. This all copy is done only once. Now based on execution of child process, it will change its own values. And of course, third thing we have written, see, it returns different from its parent. So although it may look exactly similar, but there are certain 3-4 differences between the two. Because now child is independent. Exactly, it has nothing to do with parent in some sense, right? In terms of execution of code. The output of whatever we have done, P1C, is not deterministic. Okay, it totally depends on what scheduler does. All right. Okay. We are accepting for return value. We are we said something, right? We said that we will start execution from next instruction onwards, right? The child will start execution. Parent, of course, will, once it's done the fork, it will start from next instruction. But child will also start from the next instruction. Now, I also had this doubt when I was studying. And then it took me some time to understand. I'm sorry, somewhere or other we mentioned this. Okay, it's something here. Okay.
Sir, but still
Yeah,
it
so
makes
parent
an
child
exact copy
starts.
now.
So it's there, right? So its exact copy is there. What do you mean by exact copy? Code is copied.
Yeah.
Stack
But
value,
yeah, it
stack
executes the
value.
code.
So the program counter is also copied. Okay, so program counter for both is exactly the same. That next section to be executed. Otherwise, you'll have to change program counter to the first instruction.
Okay, sir.
Got it?
Yeah.
Had it been again, child started from start, then it would have printed this. But child is starting from here. Actually, child is starting from here. Accepting that it got the value of RC.